President,
Senator from Missouri is
I think
recognized.
we're a little beyond our time on this side, but I'm grateful to my friend from Rhode Island who's willing to let me have a chance to make the points I wanted to make. And I think, as is often the case here, many of them have already been made and were just made pretty well by Senator Portman. Certainly in the spending bill that he was talking about and the tax bill that he was talking about, we keep hearing that a majority of all Americans like these programs, that if they could just know what was in the bill, they'd like the bill. We're going to have some time now over the next few weeks, I'm confident, to talk about what's in the bill. These are programs that are supposed to make life better for everyday Americans. Things like paid family leave, I'm sure that would be helpful in many, many cases. But what the gentleman from Ohio was just talking about, 4 times what this bill would spend on paid family leave, it pays on tax cuts for the wealthiest families. And when people begin to look at that, they're going to have to wonder, how is that priority established to where the second biggest spending item in the entire bill would be tax cuts for the wealthiest families in America? $230 billion of that $1.7 trillion is tax cuts for those families. The deductibility of state and local taxes goes from $10,000 as a cap to $80,000 as a cap. And let me just repeat what I think I just heard, which was that 70% of this tax break, 70% of that entire $230 billion goes to the top 5% of all taxpayers. 94% goes to the top 20%. 85% goes to the top 10%. Those are pretty big numbers in a bill that's supposed to make life easier for everyday American challenges. Now, I'm sure the top 5% of all taxpayers have their own challenges. I'm also sure they're different than my challenges, but they are not the challenges that everyday Americans face. And it's pretty amazing, I think, of all the discussion of what this bill is designed to do, that's what would happen. Let me talk about one other topic as I make way here for the Senator from Rhode Island. I want to talk a little bit about the vaccine mandate and what I'm hearing about that. Yesterday in a vote in the Senate on the Congressional Review Act, where we have an opportunity to look at regulations proposed by the administration, 52 senators from both parties, made up that 52 senators voted not to go forward with this mandate. Now, Madam President, it's very possible to be pro-vaccine and not pro-mandate. I'm pro-vaccine. I over and over again have recommended to my friends and my family that you get the first shot, and now if you're available for the booster shot after you've had either one or two of the other shots, get that one too. The vaccines have made a big difference, and frankly, my advice would be unless your doctor tells you you shouldn't do this, I think you ought to do it. But the mandate just appears not to be working. I'm not even going to assume it was designed in a way that the administration thought it would have the impact it appears to be having, but it's clear and it's out there, and you know it and I know it. As I've visited with Missouri hospital administrators, they may be at a place where just a few days ago, if that mandate would have gone into effect, where you couldn't get Medicare or Medicaid patients paid for at your hospital if you weren't 100% vaccinated. Now, fortunately, a federal court said, well, no, we're not sure the president has the authority to do that, so we're going to postpone that. But as we approached that deadline, I kept hearing from more and more hospital administrators that we think we can get almost all of our professional staff vaccinated, but we're not even sure about that. But we're absolutely sure we can't get 100% of the people that work in the cafeteria and mop the floors and provide security for the building. We can't get them vaccinated, so we wouldn't be able to participate in those programs, and that would create a serious problem, particularly in small rural hospitals. Or the next mandate, the one for every group that has more than 100 employees in it, all kinds of police officers, for whatever reason, either don't want to get vaccinated or don't want to be told they have to be vaccinated. And, we have enough problems right now finding police officers and firemen and first responders that if you delete those forces, our current problems are even bigger, and that's what will happen. You've got that 100-person force, but you still want to be a police officer. In all likelihood, within driving distance, there's a 20-person police force or a 5-person police force that may be a little easier, safer job anyway, and you're not being told by the government what you have to do. Hearing that from schools, we have schools where the National Guard is driving school buses in some places. And by the way, a lot of the people in the National Guard are thinking about leaving the National Guard if they have to do something like this. What people really, I think, resent is when government tells them you have to do this and you have to do it for your own good. If it's for your own good, that's probably a decision that you should be allowed to make. But whether you're allowed to make it or not, the response to all these mandates, whether it's the Health and Human Services mandate on hospitals, or the mandate on federal contractors, which, by the way, we need those federal contractors or we wouldn't have contracted with them, or the contract on the mandate on policemen and firemen and grocery store workers. I saw a number the other day, 50-some%, I think it was 56% of people who work in a grocery store would rather work somewhere else after what they've gone through the last year. Shorthanded, more people getting food at the grocery store than ever before. They're looking for a reason to say, okay, I'm done with this. We need our grocery store workers. We need our healthcare providers. We need our policemen. We need our firemen. We need our school bus drivers. We need our school teachers. This is not working. Fortunately, up till now, federal judge after federal judge has said, we don't think you have the authority to do this, and we're going to suspend the implementation of these mandates. I think this gives the Biden administration a chance to look at this again and realize the unintended consequences of what they were trying to do might be more significant than the consequences of what would happen if you forced compliance. And with that, I would yield back and again thank my friend for giving us a few extra minutes.
Madam President.